even though I was a sick kid, I was not able to graduate high school. I was all these things that were all against me, but I was in a country where it doesn't matter. You try hard enough, you can basically achieve anything in this country.
The untold story behind the rise and difficulties of the Pawn Stars icon will have you wondering, how can one man survive so much? Rick Harrison, the face of Pawn Stars, rose to prominence through his family's pawn store, but behind the TV screens, the glitz of Las Vegas, and the well-oiled machinery of reality television, Rick's life has been a roller coaster of personal catastrophes, legal battles, and financial difficulties. Rick's narrative goes beyond what you see on the History Channel, from the death of his sister as a child to a high-profile legal battle with his own mother. The question is, how did he keep going despite the tragedies? And what caused his recent devastating family loss? Join us as we learn the riveting story of Rick Harrison's life, from the beginnings of his corporate empire to the dark moments that almost destroyed it all. You might believe you know the Pawn Stars narrative, but the truth is far more complicated and heartbreaking. Rick Harrison's early life. Rick Harrison, born March 22, 1965 in Lexington, North Carolina, grew up in a military family. Rick's father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, served in the United States Navy, prompting their migration to San Diego when he was just 2 years old. Growing up, he experienced various hardships, the most significant of which was the death of his older sister Joanne at the age of 6 due to Down syndrome. This tragedy had a profound impact on him, changing his perspective on life and family. Rick also suffered from epilepsy, which kept him confined to his bed for extended periods of time during childhood. During this time, he developed an interest in reading, particularly John D. Fitzgerald's The Great Brain series, which featured a teenage con artist. This interest in problem-solving, negotiating, and history would later benefit him in the pawn industry. Rick's adolescence was defined by additional problems. He went to Taft Middle School in San Diego, but dropped out in the 10th year to pursue his commercial interests. By the age of 17, he was running a business selling counterfeit Gucci handbags, which generated large income but also caused personal instability. Around this time, his girlfriend Kim became pregnant, but the pair miscarried. Despite this, they married and welcomed their first child, Corey Harrison, followed by their second son, Adam. However, Rick and Kim's romance terminated after a few years. Rick and his family relocated to Las Vegas in 1981 after their real estate business failed. This was a watershed point in his life, as he and his father established the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989. Despite initial difficulties, the shop soon achieved global success, notably following the release of Pawn Stars in 2009, which made Rick and his shop household names. His childhood experiences, including personal losses and physical issues, spurred his ambition and enthusiasm for education, allowing him to turn barriers into opportunities and eventually lead to his enormous success in the pawn industry. Rick gradually extended his business ventures while remaining a voracious reader, claiming to have read over 3,000 volumes. His interest for history and problem-solving has played a major role in his business philosophy, and his resilience in the face of hardship has garnered him respect both on and off screen. Pawn shop origins. Rick Harrison's journey to establish the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas was fraught with problems, inventiveness, and ambition. His family relocated to Las Vegas in the early 1980s due to financial difficulties. Rick's father, Richard Harrison, sometimes known as the Old Man, originally managed a used coin business. Rick, a natural hustler, dropped out of school in the 10th grade and began selling counterfeit Gucci bags, earning approximately $2,000 per week as a youngster. This early enterprise paved the way for his entrepreneurial attitude. Rick and his father were able to obtain a pawn license in 1989 after years of unsuccessful attempts owing to severe local limitations in Las Vegas. Their tenacity paid off, and they transformed their small coin shop into a full-fledged pawn shop on Las Vegas Boulevard. Rick and his father's combined understanding of history and expensive objects helped them get through the difficult early years in the firm. Rick's keen eye for precious objects, along with his commercial savvy, enabled Gold and Silver Pawn Shop prosper. The company garnered national notoriety in 2009 when the History Channel aired Pawn Stars, a show that documented the shop's daily transactions. The show immediately became popular, not only increasing the shop's visibility, but also making Rick a television personality. Despite his success, Rick has remained grounded, frequently thanking his father with teaching him the value of negotiating and identifying counterfeit or stolen things. His expertise as a spotter in the pawn industry has been critical to the shop's longevity and success. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop remains a family-run business, employing Rick's son Corey and longtime buddy Austin Chumley Russell. How a family business became a global phenomenon. The rise of Pawn Stars is a wonderful story of perseverance and familial relationships. Rick Harrison had spent years pitching the idea of a pawn shop reality show before signing a deal with the History Channel in 2009. The show gave viewers an insider's perspective on rare historical objects, odd items, and the complexities of bargaining. Its success was partly due to the characters of Rick, his father, Old Man Harrison, son Corey, and their friend Chumley, each of whom brought unique dynamics and humor to the mix. Rick's strong historical knowledge and keen business acumen served as the show's foundation, while Old Man offered wisdom and a no-nonsense approach. Corey played the eager future generation, attempting to modernize the business, and Chumley's humorous charm lightened the mood. This blend of personalities and authentic family dynamics attracted in millions of viewers, establishing Pawn Stars as the History Channel's flagship show. Behind the scenes, the Harrisons had their own set of personal issues. Rick Harrison's youth was difficult, since he suffered from grand mal seizures, which required regular hospitalization and forced him to skip school. These health issues, which he worried might terminate his life prematurely, inspired him to read literature, particularly history, which eventually formed an important element of his job on Pawn Stars. His father, Old Man Harrison, had experienced his own set of hardships. After retiring from the Navy, the Harrison family struggled to sustain a real estate firm, which failed in the early 1980s, leaving them practically insolvent. They moved to Las Vegas with only $5,000 and hoped to start afresh. The success of Pawn Stars did not protect its cast from personal challenges off-screen. Chumley, for example, struggled with his weight and health. After fluctuating by up to 100 pounds over the years, he underwent gastric sleeve surgery and lost 160 pounds. His desire to take charge of his health originated from the death of his father, who passed away from pancreatic cancer at 54, just weeks before Pawn Stars debuted. The cast also encountered considerable controversy. Olivia Black, who had briefly worked at the company, was sacked after old images from a softcore website surfaced. Although the Harrison family supported her, the show's producers opted to let her go, adding a layer of controversy to the already family-friendly series. Tragedy strikes behind the scenes of Pawn Stars. Rick Harrison faced a personal tragedy that had a profound impact on his life. In June 2018, his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, popularly known as the Old Man, died, leaving a big emotional gap. The Old Man had been battling Parkinson's illness for years, and his death was a huge loss for Rick, both personally and professionally. Rick lost not just his father, but also his business mentor, as the two had worked together to establish the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. Rick frankly discussed how difficult it was to continue forward without his father, who was an important part of both the family and the business. The Old Man's death also marked a watershed moment in the play. His keen humor and no-nonsense attitude had been a staple of Pawn Stars, and his loss was felt by both the cast and viewers. The dynamic that had contributed to the show's success was altered, and Rick and Corey had to rediscover their footing without their dad. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop was never the same after this occurrence, and Rick faced a number of personal issues as a result. Around the same time, Rick's personal life began to unravel. In 2020, he divorced his third wife, Deanna Burdett, after 7 years of marriage. While Rick's divorce was portrayed as amicable, the emotional toll on him was evident. This was his third marriage that ended in divorce, adding to his already stressful situation. Rick's prior marriages were likewise rocky. He was previously married to Kim Harrison, with whom he had 2 kids, Corey and Adam. His second marriage, to Tracy Harrison, also ended in divorce after more than 2 decades. The stress of failed romances added to the weight of his work obligations. Despite these personal difficulties, Rick stayed dedicated to his job and his family. He continued to play an important role in the pawn shop's operations and the production of Pawn Stars, which by this point had become a worldwide phenomenon. Rick's success on the show had earned him fame and fortune, but it did little to protect him from the emotional difficulties he was facing. However, Rick's perseverance shone through as he weathered these problems, remaining focused on the shop's legacy. The death of the old man was a watershed moment for not only Rick, but the whole Pawn Stars fan base. As fans mourned the loss of their favorite character, Rick faced the harsh reality of running both the family business and the program without his father's leadership. His ability to continue despite these losses demonstrates his passion and tenacity in the face of hardship, while Pawn Stars continues to thrive. Rick has suffered tremendous personal losses, with the emotional toll of his father's death and repeated divorces weighing heavily on his personal life. The lawsuit that nearly destroyed the Harrison legacy. Rick Harrison's public image suffered in 2022 when he became involved in an unexpected court conflict with his mother, Joanne Harrison. Joanne sued Rick, accusing him of mismanaging family assets, including her ownership part in the gold and silver pawn shop. According to the lawsuit, Joanne claimed that Rick pressured her into giving up her 51% ownership of the company while she was recovering from a coma in the early 2000s. She argued that she was not completely aware of what she was signing up at the time, and Rick's actions deprived her of the financial control she was entitled to. The lawsuit stunned Pawn Stars fans and followers, since Rick had long been portrayed as a caring family man who cared passionately about everyone around him. Joanne's claims provided another depth to the family dynamic, showing audiences a previously unknown aspect of the Harrison family. Joanne further claimed that Rick neglected to give her with correct financial paperwork about the shop's earnings and had stopped making monthly payments to her from her late husband's part of the business. The legal battle was especially harsh since sensitive family concerns were being discussed in public. The gold and silver pawn shop has always been portrayed as a family business, with Rick, his father, and eventually his son Corey, all working together to ensure its success. The lawsuit called into doubt Rick's position as the glue that held the family together. Rick vehemently refuted his mother's allegations, claiming that she was being controlled by outside forces. He insisted that he had run the business in a transparent manner, and that there had been no dubious dealings in how ownership was transferred. The case dragged on, causing a schism within the Harrison family and disappointing many long-standing fans of the show. The public feud prompted concerns about how fame and riches can generate splits, even within close-knit families. The heartbreaking loss of Rick's son, Adam. The most tragic event in Rick Harrison's life occurred in January 2024, when his son Adam died at the age of 39. Adam, who had mainly avoided the public eye and pursued a job as a plumber, was discovered dead from a fentanyl and methamphetamine overdose. Rick was devastated by his abrupt demise, which eclipsed his previous problems. Adam's death highlighted the ongoing opioid crisis in the United States, which has taken hundreds of lives nationwide. Rick, who was severely touched by his personal loss, took the opportunity to raise awareness about the risks of opiate addiction. In interviews, he spoke honestly about the significance of tackling the problem, emphasizing the need for increased education, awareness, and support networks to prevent future deaths. Rick's call to action resonated with many people, as the opioid epidemic continues to affect families across the country. Rick expressed his anguish on social media, penning a poignant homage to his son. "You will always remain in my heart. I love you, Adam." This heartfelt note demonstrated the depth of his pain and his love for his son. Corey Harrison, Rick's second son and frequent guest on Pawn Stars, also paid tribute to Adam by sharing childhood memories and expressing his own grief. Adam's death delivered a devastating blow to the Harrison family, who were typically portrayed as close-knit on the show. Adam's death attracted attention to a crisis that had now become personal for the Harrison family. It was a sobering reminder of the opioid epidemic's scope, affecting even individuals who had managed to avoid the public eye. For Rick, Adam's death was the most devastating loss he had ever experienced, adding another terrible chapter to his already stormy emotional journey. Fans and friends rallied around the family, providing condolences and support as they dealt with the unthinkable agony of losing a son and brother. What comes next for Rick Harrison? Rick Harrison continues to demonstrate incredible fortitude as he navigates the personal and legal issues that have impacted his life. Rick remains a key player in Pawn Stars in 2024, despite his reduced involvement with the gold and silver pawn shop on a daily basis. While he continues to appear on the show and its spin-offs, such as Pawn Stars Do America, Rick has assumed a semi-retired role. His priorities have evolved towards spending more time with his grandchildren, valuing family, and relishing the personal moments that offer him comfort after years of public exposure. Rick has experienced numerous challenges, both personal and professional, during his career, but his capacity to persevere has been his defining characteristic. Losing his father, Richard "the Old Man" Harrison, in 2018 was a devastating blow for the family. His father's death created a gap at the gold and silver pawn shop that no one could fill. Rick's emotional struggles were aggravated by personal catastrophes such as failed marriages and the 2024 death of his son, Adam, from a heroin overdose. These experiences turned Rick into a figure of resilience as he persevered amid heartache and turbulence. Rick has stayed politically active. Rick is well known for his conservative views and has publicly endorsed a number of Republican candidates and causes. He has regularly expressed his views on taxes, small company restrictions, and the role of government, showing his strong values in personal responsibility and entrepreneurship. He even pondered running for governor of Nevada at one point, but the campaign never took off. His engagement in politics reflects his desire to remain involved in larger societal concerns, particularly those affecting small business owners like himself. In recent years, Rick has displayed a deep knowledge of the pawn industry's issues, as well as the growing need of adjusting to changes in both television and retail. While the original shop continues to grow, thanks in part to Pawn Stars' global reputation, Rick has steadily withdrawn himself from day-to-day operations, leaving much of the business in the hands of his son Corey and the shop team. His semi-retirement allows him to reflect on his accomplishments while seeking solace in a life full of ups and downs. However, legal problems within his family have cast a pall over his later years. Rick was involved in a well-known legal dispute with his mother, Joanne Harrison, in 2022. Joanne accused him of mismanaging her financial affairs, specifically her portion of the gold and silver pawn shop, which she said Rick pushed her into selling following a coma. This legal dispute sparked outrage, undermining Rick's image as a family man and putting a pall over his otherwise successful career. Although the dispute was eventually resolved, it strained his connection with his mother, raising concerns about the impact of riches and fame on familial bonds. As Rick starts on the next chapter of his life, it is unclear what obstacles or accomplishments await him. He has withstood personal grief, legal fights, and public criticism, but his path is far from complete. Rick's tenacity in the face of adversity demonstrates his capacity to rebuild and keep moving forward. Fans and followers alike continue to watch Rick's narrative unfold, wondering what new pathways he will take and what lessons he will bring with him into the future. What do you believe Rick Harrison will face in the next chapter of his life? Rick Harrison's life has been filled with highs and lows. His rise to notoriety on Pawn Stars earned him success and attention, but the tragedies and personal struggles behind the scenes paint a different picture. Rick has gone through more than most, from losing his father to the sad death of his son, Adam. Rick's shoulders were weighed down by legal problems and familial feuds, yet he stayed resilient throughout. Finally, his story serves as a reminder that every success is preceded by unknown obstacles. What would Rick Harrison do next? Only time will tell. Thank you for viewing, and we'll see you in our future video.